Poised for Exit is a show for business owners who want to achieve a successful exit based on their own terms. Your business exit will likely be the biggest financial transaction of your life, and for most, you'll have one shot at doing it right. The topics and guests we feature and the stories they share will provide valuable ideas and strategies to improve operations and grow enterprise value so you can achieve the best possible exit outcome. Now here's your host, award-winning certified exit planning advisor, Julie Keys.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Poised for Exit podcast show. Today's guest is a financial advisor and partner with a firm whose primary focus is in working with business owners. We're going to learn some great tips and advice through some very interesting stories right after these messages.
Thinking about selling your business in the next few years? Don't wait to start planning. I've seen too many business owners wait too long and regret it. Freedom Financial Partners are financial advisors who specialize in exit planning for business owners, helping you reduce tax surprises, protect what you've built, and quantify how much you need from the sale. Their proven process helps you think beyond your business so you can move forward with clarity and confidence. The longer you wait, the fewer options you may have. Download your free financial readiness assessment today at ffpforme.com/exit. That's ffpforme.com/exit.
My name is Todd Grau, and I'm the president of the Twin Cities Exit Planning Chapter. If you're a business owner and advisor and want to learn more about the world of exit planning, you're invited to visit the Twin Cities chapter of the Exit Planning Institute. You can expect top-level education delivered by subject matter experts at every monthly meeting. Grow your network and draw from the learning that could be a game changer for your business or your practice. There's no pressure to become a member, so come and see what the buzz is all about. Our meetings are held the second Wednesday of the month, 7:30 to 9 a.m. See the show notes for more information and registration links.
Are you a business owner getting ready to transition? If so, I recommend True North Mergers and Acquisitions as your confidential strategic partner. They understand your business sale isn't just about one buyer and the price, but what you net that counts. In other words, what you get to keep. When you're ready for a higher level of representation that delivers consistent results, contact True North M&A to do the heavy lifting of selling your business. Learn more at tnma.com. That's tnma.com.
Exiting your business is a big deal, both financially and emotionally. I'm John Marquet, Certified Exit Planning Advisor with TrustPoint. We help business owners transition smoothly on their terms. Our focus is on maximizing value, minimizing stress, and giving you confidence in what's next. Whether you're selling or passing the torch, we make the process seamless. Start planning today at trustpointinc.com. That's trustpointinc.com.
Hello, Poised for Exit listeners. We are here today with John Schwalbach, who's partner and financial advisor with Freedom Financial, as well as a sponsor of the Poised for Exit show. John, so glad to have you here.
It's an honor to be here. Thanks for having me.
Welcome to Poised for Exit. And so I like to start, especially because you're a sponsor of the show. We, VIP, of course, and we're going to be getting into some really interesting stories and interesting things that you've learned in working with business owners and how you advise them. But before we do that, I really want our audience to get to know you. And so maybe we could just spend a couple of minutes that, you could share your story and how you got to where you are right now as a partner in the company.
Right. So, first and foremost, I grew up in a family of entrepreneurs. So my grandpa, John Schwalbach, he returned from World War II and opened up a Texaco gas station on Rice Street and County Road C in St. Paul, where he owned and operated that for many decades. And that guy was the hardest worker that I've ever met in my life. Kind of followed by my dad, another really hard worker. So he went to the University of Minnesota Dental School, and right after dental school, went and bought a small dental practice in River Falls, Wisconsin, and he grew that practice for the next 50 years. So I grew up just kind of watching this and watching, these guys, and I think just seeing how they built businesses that really served their communities well, I think just lit a fire in me to one day want to do the same thing. So in 2012, when I got the opportunity to start Freedom Financial Partners with my business partner, Trevor Christian, I jumped at the chance to do it. Um, and I guess as far as working with, business owners, it's just really authentic to who I am. I certainly grew up around it, and having run a business for the last, 12 plus years, I understand, the magnitude of the decisions, business owners face.
Of course.
I know what it's like to kind of go all in on something and take that
Mhm.
risk. And I think that shared experience with fellow business owners really helps me as I kind of guide them, through their entrepreneurial journey.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, John. Then, like, as a business consultant, same for me. When I first started this work, about the same time you did, actually, is when I got into consulting.
Mhm.
And I really felt and still do to this day that my years as an entrepreneur and growing up in an entrepreneurial home, just like you did, really gives me an edge over someone who is advising in theory but hasn't actually done it in practice, right? So,
Right,
yeah, so you can really relate to your clients, and I just think that that's fantastic. Um,
right.
when we talked about you being on the show and what, our content would be like, you shared with me that you have had some conversations with clients that created some aha moments that led your clients to exclaim, "Well, I didn't know that. Like I didn't realize that." Right? So I want you to dive into a couple of those because I was really impressed. I was inspired.
Yeah, I mean, when you go through doing a financial plan, I think there's so many aha moments that just happen during that process, for our clients. I'm sure you have the same experience. I'm going to
Mhm.
just kind of focus on one that's just kind of happening as we speak. It's just
Sure.
basically happening in real time. So this is a business owner and his spouse. They're longtime, financial planning clients of the firm, have a great relationship. And he got really serious about selling the business about 6 weeks ago after receiving an unsolicited offer from a competitor. And this happens a lot, right? Where
Yes.
our
Yeah.
our uh, our clients get offers sometimes out of the blue. And I advise them, I'm like, have a conversation, with a business broker. Let's kind of figure out if this offer's in the ballpark, if you think it's reasonable. And he did that, and the broker came back and said that he thought he could sell the business for about $18 million. So it was kind of in the zone for what we had in the financial plan, but it was good to get some verification of that because this is obviously a big deal, right? When you go to market to make sure that you kind of have an idea what the business is going to sell for. Now, we had an aha moment at that point because the 18 million quickly dropped to 11 million of usable post-sale cash, right? When we went through the taxes, there's some
Right.
debt to repay, right?
All the things.
There's going to be professional fees. And so that's one of the moments I think so many business owners think kind of at that top line sale number.
Right.
And they sometimes, forget that, hey, what's this going to net out at? And sometimes that can be a little deflating for them.
I agree. Yeah. Yeah. Like the old saying goes, what do you get to keep?
What do you get to keep?
Yes.
Right. So, but we were able to go back and look at the financial plan in more detail and really dig in and say, if you did get this 11 million post sale, he has about 2 million outside of the business. We took some money off the table over the past few years.
Smart.
And so there's about 13 million there to work with. And that's when I think you really have to get real about what does, that do for their lifetime financial plan? Is it enough money to live the life that we want? So we've been taking a deep dive back into, their goals, values, things that they really want to accomplish, some bucket list travel, buying a second home. And then I think just as important, really going back through their budget, right? And understanding what do you really spend,
Mm,
especially when you take out the expenses you put through the business, right?
exactly. Yes.
So,
Flowing over to the personal P&L.
yep,
Yeah.
healthcare, phones, vehicles, even charitable giving to some extent, all these things can kind of run through the business. So, we got really clear on that budget, and I think the story is going to end really well that the 13 million is more than it's more than enough for them to fund that ideal life that they're looking for post exit. But it's just great that they can go to market with a lot of clarity and confidence, knowing that
Yes.
the next chapter um, is just kind of waiting for them.
Well, and gosh, that just has to give them such a breath of fresh air about what their future looks like versus not really having a clue. Like you said, just kind of looking at the top line. And then, like so many business owners fail retirement because they had no plan on what they were going to do next, which
Right.
kind of leads me to my next question. What's your theory about why business owners tend to hesitate to establish a relationship with someone like you? Like I run into that all the time. So this is not a new thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the one we probably hear most often is just like, I'm too busy, right? I've got too many things going on right now. I'm juggling too many things. Like, I'll get to this. But when we dig deeper, I think there's multiple, reasons they feel that way. I think one of them is I think they really don't want to meet with an advisor till they have money to manage. I think most business owners feel like until I'm close to exit, until I have that liquidation event, what's the point of meeting with a financial advisor? It just
Sure.
doesn't make sense. I've heard that a lot. The
Hmm.
other one that, I've come to realize talking to a lot of business owners is I think they just oftentimes they hesitate because they don't know a lot about personal financial planning or exit planning. And so they're used to having a lot of answers, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's completely natural to kind of be a bit hesitant to want to work with an exit planner or financial planner when you may not have all those answers, right?
Yes.
Um, and I think to get them past that, we tell them like we've created a planning process that's specifically designed to work with business owners. So think of if we kind of think of how we work with a business in like EOS terms, we're like a financial integrator for a business owner. We're going to connect all the dots. We're going to look at, the value of the business, the personal finances and assets. We're going to look at insurance, taxes, estate planning. And even from a fee standpoint, we tell them that we charge planning fees just like a SEPA or a CPA or an attorney. So they're used to that kind of world, right?
Yes.
So we kind of get them over that hesitation of I have to have all this money to go
Yes.
work with a financial advisor. And usually they take a step back and are more willing to move forward once they know that there are advisors who want to work with them on a fee basis.
Totally, totally. And, to your point about that plan, I mean, that's what I tell my clients when they say that they don't have a relationship or they have, somewhat of a relationship with someone they don't talk to very often. And my first question is, well, do you have a plan? Well, no, not really. I just thought I'd wait, like you said, I thought I'd wait until the liquidity event. And it's like, well, yeah, but then there's strategies that you can't take advantage of if you wait till after the liquidity event. So why would you do that to yourself? And you
Yeah.
have to have a plan, even if you're not going to diversify the equity in your business and you're going to keep it all in that nest egg, you still got to have a plan.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
100%.
So, dreaming bigger and visualizing like what that future could look like, is that part of the Freedom Roadmap process that you guys utilize?
Yeah, so it's
Yeah,
so
it's
it's
your
probably
proprietary, right? Your proprietary process.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll answer it in a couple of different ways. I mean, first of all, I think the dreaming bigger, it's one of the, best things that I feel like I get to do for clients is just help them think beyond just the numbers. So business owners are used to answering questions about, right, their growth plans and their EBITDA and their margins and all these things. And those are great things to know, and you have to be comfortable. They have to be comfortable with answers to those questions. But we try and get into deeper, more personal questions like, hey, what does a perfect day look like after you exit? Who are you going to spend time with? What kind of impact you want to have on your family, on your community, on organizations that you value? And oftentimes they kind of like take a step back, like, no one's ever, kind of asked me that before, right? It's different. It's not your traditional financial planning
Yeah.
type meeting, right?
I love it though. Yeah, that's awesome.
Um, what we're trying to do by asking these questions is to get them to shift kind of their mindset from what am I kind of retiring from to what am I retiring to? And that's really important because, as we know,
Mm.
so much of the identity of a business owner can be just tied up in the business, right? It's where they spent their time, created, value, built a lot of relationships. And so we really need to get them to start to think beyond owning the business to that next chapter, right? So let's give you one quick story. We had a client who recently sold a business, and you know, when I asked him, how are things going? And this is after doing a lot of this kind of personal planning, not just on the financial side, but on the personal side. He's on an
Mhm.
advisory board, started a charitable foundation. He's doing bucket list travel, and basically said, I'm more energized now than I was working
Oh,
than when I was working. And that's the kind of exit that we want to see, that real euphoric exit where
yes.
people, are just excited about the next chapter of life.
Yes, right. And using the wisdom that they've gained, right? Sometimes the knowledge they've gained for whatever is next, and not knowing what's next, that's kind of a scary place. So just
Yeah,
love to hear that you're helping business owners figure that out. Um,
right.
so let's talk some more then about that process. Like
Yeah.
how does that work and how are you taking your clients through that process?
So it's a 3 meeting process, and we've named all the meetings. The first one is called Empowering Conversations, and I'm going to take this from the standpoint of a business owner and their spouse or partner coming in. Oftentimes, it doesn't have to be, obviously with both of them, but it's much better if it is.
Sure.
And what we've done is this first meeting in the process, there is no financials. Don't come with anything. This is a true life conversation, and we've gamified it because how we used to do this meeting was, hey, tell us your goals and values. That's a really hard question to answer. And
It is, yeah.
some people have more clarity on others. And we would see in that meeting, usually one person talked more than the other or was talking over the other person. So what we did is a number of years ago, we gamified this. And so we created a number of values cards. And it's an individual exercise that the business owner and their spouse, maybe they're in the business together, but oftentimes they're not. And they're basically putting together, um, I guess, a list of their number one, kind of goals and values and working down that because we need to see what's important for them individually, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then what we do once we have that in place is we just ask questions around each of those individual values. Why did you choose that? What does it mean to you? How do you feel like you're doing in that part of your life? What could you do to maybe bring that score up or be doing a better job?
Mm.
And the other person listens. and then
Wow,
and then they flip.
sure.
And it's such a powerful meeting because they get to not only clarify, goals and values individually, and hear each other express what those are. But at the end of it, they come together as a couple and have a lot of clarity on their life planning before we get into the financial part of the plan.
That is so
So,
smart.
yeah, I mean, it's the baseline of a great financial plan is just knowing what you want out of life. Um,
Well, and for you to have that be part of your process and take that time with them around something that's just so important but so overlooked, has to do like amazing things for the trusted advisor relationship that you're establishing, right?
yeah,
Like you just become that person
right.
that your role is actually meant to be.
Yeah. It's just a really powerful meeting. We get to know our clients better that way. We can advise them better that way
Of
because
course. Yeah.
once we get to kind of that next meeting, which is more that traditional financial planning, I mean, we call it a clarity session. We can start to bring the financial parts of the plan together with the personal vision. That's a really powerful thing. And when we get to that second meeting, the client comes back, the plan's all built, right? We have an idea of the value of the business. We have all of their assets built into our e-money, planning software. All the insurances are built in, the estate plan's built in, the budget's built in. So what's really amazing about that meeting for a client is it's usually the first time they've ever seen, like, do I actually have enough? Like they can
Mhm.
see from a true lifetime cash flow perspective, like, is there enough there? We call that a freedom score when someone has enough assets in place to live their ideal life, right?
Mm.
And and sometimes that's the case in that meeting. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes, I'm sure you see this in your work. We have what's called that value gap where
Mm.
maybe they need to have $15 million to live that ideal life, but they're only at, say, 10. And a lot of that wealth might need to be, you know, they may have to get that from the business, from growing the business, right? And
Mhm.
so that's where somebody like you comes into play. Like we start to talk about if there is a value gap, how are you going to close that so you can get to that freedom score, get to that number where you can live that ideal life, right?
Yeah, I love that freedom score. So, when we're talking about the difference between an owner who is ready and one who isn't, for you, like, what would you say are, aside from the financial plan and seeing that they financially aren't ready, what are some of the other red flags?
Yeah, I mean, the owner who's not ready, right? They just wait too long. I think that's almost without question, they wait too long, but they're too busy to run, they're just too busy running their business. They're they're too much a part of their business, quite frankly, right?
Mhm.
Too owner dependent. They don't bring in the right people to help them maximize the value of the business. They don't have the right team members in place. Um, they don't know their freedom score. They don't really know what they need to get out of the business or why are you doing all this? What are you working towards? They
Mhm.
don't have clarity around that. Um, and I think inevitably, something usually happens in those situations. I mean, there could be a health event. We've seen these things. A partner leaves, maybe a key employee leaves. Um, Problems just happen with the business. The market could just shift on them. Competitors come into the market, and usually they're forced to make a rush decision and sell the business at a significant, discount. They're not maximizing the value of their life's work, right?
No, right. Yeah, and it's preventable too. And I know you have a great deal of expertise when it comes to working with business owners. You also understand exit planning. So you bring so much knowledge to the table, but you also bring empathy.
Yeah,
And I think when business owners know that they've waited too long, they're also afraid to talk to people like us because they know they've made that mistake. So,
right. I
but
agree.
but running away from that indefinitely is we'll catch up to them.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. No question about it. Right.
Okay, well, last question, unfortunately, but I have to ask because I know that you're going to have some great advice that you could leave us with. What would be some action items, John, based on all your experience? What are some of the things that you would recommend that business owners, especially now, today, in these times, that they should do to even if they haven't started planning or if they've kind of planned, like what are some of the things on your mind?
Yeah. I mean, I think first and foremost, we always tell business owners that I think exit planning is just good business planning. I mean, I borrow that from the Exit Planning Institute, right? Regardless if you're two
Exactly.
years from exit or 10 years from exit, start planning now because I mean, even if you don't want to sell your business today, getting a business that is ready to sell at any time, it's just really good business planning. So don't wait to do that, right?
Mm.
Um, and there's a couple of things that if business owners just aren't, sure where they're at in this process or they want to just get some more clarity around it. We do have a couple of things out at our website that I think would be helpful for business owners to look at.
Perfect.
Um, One is we call it our business owner readiness assessment. So you
Mm.
can find that. It's just at ffp for me poised.com/exit. And what that is, it's 20 questions. It takes about 5 minutes. And it's going to give a business owner, I think, just a good snapshot of where their planning is really strong today, where they might need to shore up some gaps. So that's one thing that I'd encourage, business owners to do. I think the other one, and it's just as far as, putting a financial plan together, that's just absolutely a must. You got to get a valuation done, right? You need to know what the business is worth, because if you don't have an idea on that, the planning's just going to be so far off, right?
Totally.
So,
Yes.
you know,
Yeah. Shoot in the dark at that point. I mean, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
so, work with your CPA,